Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome once again to this live broadcast for single women raising sons. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I hope you had a great week. The fact that you're alive, you are blessed. And I want to encourage you stay blessed, stay trusting God, stay believing in God. He's our strength, He's our fortress, and He's everything to us. I always say He's not just the head of my life, but He's my life. It's in Him that I live, I move, and I have my being. These broadcasts, like I've said many times before, lead up to our grand conference that we are hosting on the 23rd of April. These broadcasts are live on Facebook, but the conference, it's an in-person conference on the 23rd of April, and the place is 215 Jamaica Avenue in Queens Village, New York. To register, please go to Eventbrite, Single Women Raising Sons. God bless you. Today I have a very special guest. She's very, very special to me. She's special too because she's on this live broadcast. And I want to encourage everyone, if you have a prayer request, you have a son, you have a man in your life, your grandson, your nephew, your husband that you want us to pray for, please inbox me. And we will be praying for your son. So let's go to our guest. Her name is Madge Mantle-Dickson. Great. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome, everybody. Just share, like, call a friend because this discussion, this conversation today is going to be epic. This is my friend Madge Mantle-Dickson. She is special, like I said. Every person needs a friend like Madge. She keeps me in check. She makes every person in her life feels like they're the only person in her life. She makes every friend feels like you are the only friend she has. She treats everybody special. And I love her. She's humble. She is just adorable. And I thank God for her in my life. He brought her in my life at a very special time. She's kind. She gives everything she has. Her last she gives. Give you your heart. And I'm grateful for that. Good. Madge, thanks again for joining us.
Oh,
So
Sharon, mhm.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be on TV. Everybody's TV. Never thought I could get here. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay. I know you're a single mother, and you've raised an incredible son that I call an icon. He's very special because I know he's a veteran. So tell us, Madge, how you became a single mother.
Oh, oh boy, it's a long story. How many hours do we have?
Half an hour.
Okay. Well, first, let me tell you, Sharon, I'm excited for what you're doing. You're my friend. I've heard it, more than one time that you have this burden and, you understand what it is. But we often talk because we can identify with each other of raising sons or raising kings as we're talking about. You have two, I have one. But how did I become single? I became single because the father and I, when we were a little the younger, my son is a 35-year-old with his own family. And we figure, you figure like, I like this girl, gonna have a baby together. This is where we at. But you would want to think that the we would he would be present in his life. No, he wasn't. So it was a type of father that I would probably, I'd bring down the baby, put the baby on his lap, and he would get up and walk away, and somebody would tap him on the shoulder and said, yo, did you realize that you left the drop the baby on the floor? And he'd be like, what? I did. That's the type of father I am. So I was single at heart. I was just single, whether the kid wants something. I remember one time, I left my son with him and left our son with him. And when I got back, the son said to me, Mommy, I'm hungry. And I'm like, hungry? And he took a supplement and I gave him a supplement. It's not that the father didn't offer him a supplement, as what I was told, but he didn't know to accept a drink from a stranger. So
Wow.
that's how single me
Wow.
growing up my son was.
So his father was a stranger to him. Oh
Okay,
boy.
perfect. I delivered that well. A stranger to him.
Wow. So I know you raised him alone, like we said. What are some of the struggles you face, or the good times, the struggles? Share some of that with us that you had raising your son.
Oh, struggle. Um, some of the struggles were emotional. I tell you
Mm,
that. Because when you're lonely in doing something, you have to deal with your own emotions involved.
mhm.
Family members were always there. I have a brother who will pick him up and run him through the bushes and feed him.
Right.
I mean, I can't say I was the most committed mother because you were young, you have this party to go, you got that party to do, but the thing, I had my family, I have to say that. And so this one of the struggle was, um bringing men into his life. That was one of the
Mhm.
struggle, because I had abusers of my own self. I can't remember anyone that abused me that to tell me, but of me. So he would see me abused in front of him.
Wow.
So those were some of the struggles. Other struggles were, financial struggles. I wasn't saved then. I knew the church, but I didn't have, the Christian values all down pat. You fear God because you grew up in a church, and where you find yourself, you did not want God to find you there. So you'll be out there wherever you at and praying that Jesus don't kill me right today, but kill me another time because I'm going to go to the right place. Okay. All right. All right. Right? I was going to get it right tomorrow, Jesus. So I know I'm not supposed to be here, but do tomorrow. Don't take me today. And so stuff like that, relationship issues and stuff like that. They were challenging. Um, Dane wasn't so much. Dane was not a hard child to grow,
Mhm.
so he helped me grow him, which made it easier.
He helped you. Who helped you grow him?
Dane helped me grow him. Who is Dane? Dane is my son,
Right.
Thomas, that one child that I had
Hmm.
35 years ago. So, but Dane was that person who was, for some reason, he was self motivated to do whatever he does. So if mommy's sleeping, he would get up and he can iron the whole shirt for school, but he just perk the iron out and stamp one side out, stamp the back out, and stamp the other side out, and that's ironing. So the sleeve are not ironed, or
Hmm.
the shoulders not ironed, but he does what he do. He gets up early, on time, always so early that even when the time changes, early.
Right.
Okay, so he helped me to grow him versus me waking him up and he doesn't want to wake,
Right.
give me a hard time. So he made life easier for me.
Okay,
Thank
so
you, Dave.
let's talk about that. So you're saying you didn't train him like that. He was just like that, because I have two sons, and they're two completely different sons. One, he used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and he's ready to go. The older one, you still got to be dragging him out of his bed at 11 in the morning and 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock. He didn't want to get up, you know. And I remember the times when I had to be in hospital. Many times after my husband passed away, I was in hospital in the emergency room. And my sons, they would just get up and get themselves together and they're off to school. So they just learned responsibility. They just had to learn responsibility. They just had to take care of themselves many times. And I know it's God. I cannot leave God out of the equation. No matter how I twist it or turn it, God is the one that was and is on our side.
And I definitely can't leave God out. I
Right.
tried to walk away from him, but that didn't work.
Right.
So that's when God gets all the glory,
Right.
because I was not focused on him at that time. When I was little, I
Mhm.
used to go to church. When I grew my son up in church, we go to church and stuff like that. But I was not a committed Christian. Okay. I was busy doing other unchristian stuff.
So let's
So
talk about.
it's
Go ahead.
Jesus who actually kept me in it.
Let's talk about this growing up our children in church, because I grew up in church, and I guess you grew up in church, and my sons, I brought them up in church. We taught them the Bible, morning, noon, and night is Bible. And we would hope and we expect that they stick with that. They stick with God, they stick with the Bible, that they don't make a mistake. But the truth be told, and I want every mother listening to me out there, every son, every child that grew up in church, they are going to make mistakes. I grew up in church and I made my mistakes. And some people mistakes and the error are out there. But for some of us, we just did it in secret and God forgive us and we went on. So I want to talk about my son. So I grew up my son in church. This is a funny thing that I didn't share with anybody, I think, except with you, Madge. And one New Year's Eve, we were supposed to go out the New Year's Day. And my son said he wants to go out with his friend. I said, okay, he's 24, 25. Okay, go out with your friends for New Year's Eve. Um, I let him go because normally every New Year's night, they're in church. From baby, they're in church New Year's night. And you give them the word, you teach them the Bible, you expect them to do what you told them. So, so he was at his friend, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, we were supposed to go out. He didn't show up. So I wondered, where is this boy? So myself and my other son, we went to my nephew and we spent the day. So I texted him. I said, where are you? This is not like you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the problem? So I got back a text. He said, okay, I'm going to meet you there. Waiting, waiting. He did not show up till the next day, which is on the second of January.
Uh-huh.
So I was sitting in the couch and so on, and he came into the room and he stooped next to me and he said, Mommy, I did not come because I was drunk. I did not look left nor right.
You grew that boy up
This
in
Sunday
church.
school boy, this child that grew up in church, and his body's not accustomed to it. He went out with his friends, and he probably had, I don't know if it's a beer, I don't know what he had, but he said he was drunk and he was just vomiting all over himself, and his friends had to take him home. I said, boy, you know how many things could have happened to you? Right? So they make the mistakes and God forgives. And if God forgives, it's our responsibility to forgive. And let them go on. Let them know that God is a forgiving God. And we have made many mistakes in our lives, like I've said, and are still making mistakes. And we act with our children and we act with our youths like they have done the worst thing and that God is going to crucify you, God is going to kill you because you've made this one mistake. Just move on. And after that, he said that was a terrible experience, and they have to learn from their experience. We want them to learn from our experience, but they have to learn from their experience. And he's good
Yes.
now.
Yes, they have to learn from their own experience. My son is a saint to his mother. I
Mm,
think because you were saved, you had it, you had a relationship with God. I was in the church, but I didn't have a relationship with him during the time with my son. But yes, I grew up in church because you grew up in church every Sunday. We're from the Caribbean. Every
yes,
Sunday, where your place is at church. You go to church, and then you come back from church, you're gonna eat rice and peas and chicken.
right,
Okay, so your rice and peas and chicken, but you got to go to first church first. So when being out there, though, the life I lived, Dan is a saint to it, even until today. He's just that kid that was just so focused. Don't ask me how. I want to say, who's his role model? I don't know. But he is just like almost straight laced of a child. He's determined, he's self-motivated, self-contained, and very disciplined in what he does. So he has learned me. He has taught me a couple of stuff, like don't be late. He has never been late for anything. I didn't teach him that because if I have to go somewhere at 10, I thought that rolling out of the bed at quarter to will make me there at 10. So by the
Right.
time I get up in bed and hit the floor, it's 10 o'clock, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm late. How come that I'm late? I didn't get up in time. So he taught me a couple of stuff. He even taught me to
Right.
drive. If he's online, he would be happy to know that mommy talk about him, that he taught me to drive.
Great. So, what would you say to a parent that is out there that they have issues with their son, or their son is struggling in some area of their lives? I know we had some conversations about we think they're making a mistake, or we think they're going down the wrong road, but life is what is pulling them. Their destiny, their purpose is pulling them into this direction.
And that's a good one, Sharon, because we think we are putting them in this way, but the thing about it is we don't even know where we're going.
Mhm.
So where are we going? And so sometimes we find ourselves instructing them to do this and instructing them to do that, and they're pulling in another way. And this reminds me of even Jesus
Right.
when his parents was looking for him, and he was in the temple because he knew who he was. There's this the spirit was keeping him there while the parents left off and went home, and then they found out that Jesus wasn't there. Us, when we read the Bible, it looked like he was disobedient. And
Mhm.
especially when he said to his
A little
parents,
wayward boy.
I think he was rogue.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because it was like he's 12 years old. And then he turned to his parents. On top of that, after they gave back like 3 or more days to come get him, he
Mhm.
said, what are you looking for me for? I'm about my father's business. Now,
Right.
in my life, if it was my son, oh my God, I would have knocked his teeth out. Probably never have none by the time I get to his teeth, because I knock out before for something else. But because come on, we black. We know
Yes.
we just know that to beat everything out of them. So we probably would have hit Jesus, but Jesus knew he had to add Mary and Joseph.
Right.
So with that, we think that our children are being disobedient, but if we probably look and see that it's what they did that brought them to this place,
Right. Mm.
that they were destined in this place. So sometimes they get in trouble for no need be getting in trouble, but because
Right.
we don't know where we're going neither.
Right.
And we figure
Right.
that the way that we know is a safe way, or the way that we took that didn't work, and the other way that we realized that work, we figured that's the way. But there are so many ways to kill a cat or to skin a cat.
Right.
There's so many ways to be successful. And there are mothers out there online who feel like if their child do something, we call it wrong, but if their
Right.
child do something against what they think should have been right, then they don't love us. We should not associate that with love. I had to separate that. That they don't love us. If they loved us, they wouldn't do that. If they loved us, they would have talked to us. If they loved us, they would have sent us gifts. That's not what love is. We have to know that that child cares and love us no matter what. And so the relationship with them is so ever so important. And that will guide them more than any other instruction that you give them.
Right. 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 I agree with that. So, Madge, let's talk about your worst parenting moment. What I mean is, as a mother, what is the worst moment you think you had in your life as a mother?
Wow. I'm glad you asked.
Moment.
Glad you asked. I was working. It's probably one of my first jobs. And I paid this taxi man to pick my son up and drop him back off, because where I work, I wasn't able to go back and forth, to pick him up because my hours were different. And so this one particular time, he took him to school, but did not pick him back up. No, I
Mhm.
left work at 7. He's supposed to be home by 3:30. We don't have phones them time. I mean, cell phones and stuff like that. So I went home. When I got home, because of my job, I probably got home like 12. Remember, I should have got off at 7, but because I had customers lining up, I finished work. I got home like 12 o'clock. When I got home, my cousin said to me, "Where's Dane?" I'm like, "What do you mean, where's Dane?" Then the gentleman should have picked him up. He said, no, he didn't come. We were wondering, where is Dane? I'm like, oh my God, so where's Dane? So I had to now run to one neighbor, my mom's best friend, who had a cell telephone, a neighborhood telephone. And she said, I heard that there was a little kid on the television news that he was at the police station in Halfway Tree. I'm like, what? So we called now the police station, and they said, we can't give out any information. You'd have to find it out. So luckily, I saw his godfather, and he said, "What's the matter?" I said, "Dane is missing. I came home now, and Dane isn't here." So when I went to this police station, I didn't have no ID or anything. I'm naked going in because I'm just so frightened. Right? Drop everything, went to the police station. When I got there, and they asked me, the kid, he was sitting in the middle of two prisoners. There were a prisoner on his left and a prisoner on his right. He was 6 years old, prisoners, and he was sleeping, right? One on the head, one on the foot. They just brought these prisoners in, and he looked up, and I walked in, and I said, the minute I walked in, he sensed my presence because I didn't say anything. The
Right.
minute I walked in, he jumped up and he said, "Mommy!"
Right.
And with that, they didn't even ask him for ID because that coming out of a relationship that he
That's
was
the
like
ID.
abandoned.
Yes. Yes.
You get what I'm saying? There got
Mm-hmm.
to be something. So he was the ID right there.
Mm-hmm.
And they really took care of him. They stuffed his bag with food for weeks. I have snack to give to him because
Mm-hmm.
every police brought him something, right? A treasure. And so that was the highlight of my experience of having my son when he was at the police station. Because, and what happened was, it's not my fault. The school had called my job, but
Mm-hmm.
because I was actively working with their clients, they said Madge can take a call.
Right.
And so the school made that decision to take him to the police station for safekeeping until I was able to get to them.
So would you say that's the most frightening moment
That
as a
is,
parent?
that is,
Okay, but what about
as a
him
child.
going to war? Because I know he went to war.
As a child, he went to war when he was
Right.
adult. So that one as a child is
Okay.
67. But yes, my son is a veteran. Went to war twice, Iraq and Afghanistan.
We salute
And
him.
oh, I was devastated.
Mm.
I can't even begin to tell you that I am literally reeling from that emotion. I'm still like the
The
experience.
feeling of separation.
Yes, the scar. I have had him separated from me before. He
Mm.
went for war.
Mm.
He separated when he was like 18, and he went
Mm.
on to have his own family.
At
So that
18.
was yeah. So that was a separation because you don't know. Someone said a long time, I don't know if I saw it or read it. They said you do not know when it was that last time that you would pick your child up.
Wow.
So you pick them up, 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 and you never know, you're never aware of the last time you pick them up and put them on your shoulder.
Right.
So I could not be prepared for the move when he was moving at 18. So
Mm.
I remember that separation. For me, I thank God for the church and apostle, because I walked into that church. I was so broken that Sunday when he moved, and then I throw myself on the altar, and apostle said, "Leave her right there."
Mm.
And he taught the message on when Jesus was taken away to go to the
Wow.
cross.
Mm.
So
Wow.
so no, when Jesus was taken away, the only child that God has.
Wow.
Don't you understand how we replicate the life of God in different
Right.
instances? The separation reminds me of why Jesus himself had to just himself had to say, Father, why did you forsake me? Because the separation was so hard
Yes.
to grow your child and have him there and just know that when you go home he's going to be. I can't imagine what other parents who lost them kids in different circumstances feel, but I understand the separation, and it got to be, no matter what it is, the pain is like they cut him out of your life. And so it was the right thing to do, because where the eagle got to come out of the nest. And I'm glad he came out of the nest and came out in time to be fortified and get strength and vigor. But for me, I wasn't prepared. And so the separation for me, I had to take it to the altar. Thank God
Right.
I know Jesus that
Right.
time.
Right.
So
Right.
he helped me through that separation. Then the other separation was when he was separating and go to war. Now
Mm.
that part, almost killed me. And they're like within 2 years of each other.
Right.
That now a only child you have is now going to
Going to
war.
war.
And then not only the war part of it is when you take him to the airport and you see him with a backpack on him,
Right.
and when he hugs you and holds you and don't want to let you go, and then when he lets you go and he turns his back towards you, I can't get past that. I'm still stuck right there.
Right. And
Like I
all of this is being a single mother. So you didn't
being a
have
single
a
mother.
husband or his
Yeah.
father beside you to share this burden. You had to bear it alone, you and Jesus.
All by my
Wow.
I had to learn Jesus. That's when I
Wow.
learned Jesus as a stepfather.
Mm.
The different times you learn Jesus at different things. He reveals
Right.
himself in different places. So now I learned Jesus, as we call it, quote unquote, stepdad, until
Mm.
he becomes Dane's personal father. And then I realized that he's not only a stepfather or a dad, but he becomes a grandpa
Mm.
and a goddaddy.
Mm-hmm.
And he become that divine guidance that kept him to this day. Because after going to war and come back the first time, I had no one with me. The second time, actually, as a matter of fact, I had a friend when I then went to war the first time, and he was like, he called me one night and he said, look, Yvonne, you, they call me Yvonne, he said, Yvonne, you got to get it together. You cannot have faith and be fearful at the same time.
You're right.
So you got to realize that there's a scripture, and he shared a scripture. He said, all souls belong to God. And if you're going to stay there and worry, then you're being unfair to God, because Dane belongs to God. He
Mm.
said, Dane can be, this is what changed my old world. He said, Dane can be in your hand and still get killed, and you can
Right.
do nothing about it.
Right.
So you might as well let him go and let
And
God
trust
be the
God
one.
with him.
Trust
Trust
God
God with him.
with him and entrust God in my own life.
Right.
And
Right.
I was able to pick up something somehow when he said that. That gave me something. It gave me a little edge. Sometimes I have a girlfriend that said, you sometimes you don't have to have a lot of people are in your
Mm-hmm.
circle, but you just if you have one
One.
person
The power of
that
one.
believe in
The
you,
power
power
of
of
one.
one, the power
Yes.
of one. If you have one person, just
Yes.
one,
That
just
believe in
one
you. That
that
believe in
believes
your vision. That believe in your
in
dream.
you, then you don't
Yes.
need nobody else.
Right.
And that was, I felt like that time he was
Mm.
my one person,
Right.
because he was able to identify me. He wasn't judging me or anything, but he was able to put me on a course that I could relate or understand.
Right.
The second time, however, I remember a pastor said to me when my son left the second time, by then I was married. Because when he came back, I was now getting married. He was in the wedding and everything. So now he's leaving for Afghanistan and I was now married. So when a pastor said to me, are you praying for your son? I said, no, sir. He
Mm.
said, who's praying for him? He said, don't pray for him. He said, you don't have to pray for him. I'm praying for him, and let Dixon pray for him. I
Yes.
said, yes,
Yes.
sir.
But there's where the Father comes in.
Here comes the
There's
father.
where the, there's where the
We
Father.
cannot do without them men, no matter what
Yes.
we do. With
Yes.
these men are so important. I love men, Sharon, as you
I
know,
know. Hmm.
love. I love the male figure. I just love the masculinity because I like being a girl.
Right.
So when the male figure for me just really shake me like, yes,
Yeah.
the strength is here.
And you like
So
to give them the honor and the
I
respect.
love to
You
give
love
them
to.
the
Right.
honor. I love to give them the respect. I love the fact, but this is what we're doing, Sharon. We're talking about raising kings.
Right.
That man that you see that comes about walking around even with garbage around his body, he's a
Right.
king.
Right. You know, I read a poem the other day. It says, "A diamond in the rough." And our men, our sons, some of them, they might act rude, they might act rough, they might act disrespectful, but they're a diamond in the rough. Somebody just need to find them, somebody just need to grind them, and they will shine. Sometimes we just throw them away like outcasts. So I want to encourage mothers. I want to encourage wives. Your son might, your husband, sorry, might be behaving like a juvenile delinquent. But if you just work with him, if you just try a little harder, If you just empower him, don't demasculate, don't emasculate him, but encourage him. And I believe you'll get something beautiful out of his life, whatever he is, wherever he is. You know, and sometimes some mothers might, you might have a son in prison. You might have a son that is on the run. You might have a son that you think is doing the worst thing. I always remember Moses, and I said, no matter how you turn it, Moses was a wanted man. Moses was a murderer.
Mm.
But God went looking for Moses. God said, I can do something with this murderer. I can do something with this wanted man. And we saw that he is the one that God used to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. God didn't give up on him. And we should not give up on our sons. We should not give up on the males in our lives.
And that's very good sharing, because I'm an educator, and I remember during my classroom days, I had whatever kids, boys I had, the amount of boys I had, they had no father.
Mm,
And the girl I have, she had no mother.
mm,
Okay. And I remember one time there's one child who started crying, and he was just crying and just crying and just crying, just crying, just crying. And what's the matter? Oh, I miss my father. I've been calling him and he's not picking up, and I want my dad, and I want my dad, and I want my dad, and I want my dad. And I had to sit with him on the floor in the multipurpose room, sit with him and
mm.
have him in my lap, cuddle him and hold him. And I give him all the reasons why I can't help him now. But then I
Wow.
said, I can't give you your dad, but I'm going to challenge you
Mhm.
that promise me that throughout your lifetime, you will not have a child in another teacher's classroom crying for you.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
challenge him. And so that's one of the reasons, one of the things I did in my own son. I always hand him the responsibility. I hand him the knife. I hand him the sword. And I said, you got to work this. And
Mm.
even though he didn't have a father in his life, he made a decision. I don't know. He's married and he's having a wonderful family. But I promise you, Sharon, I do not know if my son, and I will not serve for my son being a good husband. I leave that alone. I don't know, because we
Mhm.
girls are something else.
But a
I'm
father.
just saying that,
Mhm.
but to talk about a father, he
Father. Mhm.
perfects that.
Yeah.
Because what you don't have is what you strive to get. And
Right.
for that, that's what he goes after. He
Right.
wants to be the best dad there is, because I needed a dad so much. It is
Yeah.
out of our experience that we're able to mold things we never thought we could mold.
I remember you saying to me that one time he was crying and say he wants his father.
Yes, let me tell you about that. He was at
Mhm.
war.
Wow.
He
Mhm.
was at war. And he called me sobbing, sobbing, Mom, I want my father. I want my dad. I want my, and I said, Dane, I really can't. I remember when he was little, I wrote him a book. I wrote him a letter and said, son, I wish I'd made better choice. I was all of 18 when I had my son.
Wow.
I said, I
Mhm.
wish I'd made better choice. I wish I'd given you a father, but I didn't. And God used whatever we have. And no, this is your father. I wish, and I remember he was 13 years old,
Mhm.
actually. And that's the day I took him to the bank and made him an account.
Mhm.
And I said to him, what's the highlight of your birthday? And he said, I wish my father had called me.
Wow.
I said, okay, just get a
Mhm.
guy money. But no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no.
So they need
I said,
their father.
the
They need.
father.
We do what we can do as mothers, but these boys need their they need that man in their lives. We are women. We can nurture. We can do what God put us here to do, to mother them. But they need that man. They need that father.
They need that. And then guess what? I'm coming right back to that, because you know what, Sharon, what I noticed? I said this whole father thing is a lopsided thing, because my mother had a father, but didn't
Mhm.
necessarily had a father in her life.
Mhm.
I had a father, but don't have a father in my life. I had my son, and I couldn't give him what I didn't get from my own father. So the men are irreplaceable, but I don't think they understand that so well.
Mhm.
So we got to find them and nurture. We have the nurturing type. And so, for instance, even my son, I nurture him. So only thing he knows to do is nurture,
Right.
right? But then if you continue to nurture, females will think that, oh, you're a sissy because you nurture. You're too
Mm.
softy and love to put
No.
things together and like to put make flowers. You know what I mean? But that's all he knows.
Mhm.
So now he has to now pull away and groom himself to be that father. He had to now create that manhood that I could not give to him because I didn't have it. I'm imbalanced already. I don't
Mhm.
know what it is to have a father and what a father would have said to me and what a father would have done to me. I don't have that. My mom didn't have it to give to me, and plus she have a lot of us as a fourth of seven children, so we don't have that. So what do we give?
That's what the
What
Bible say, man and wife. A, a man and his wife.
a man
That's
is.
how you put it. That's how you put a family. A man and a wife.
And then I'm glad you say that because there's also a part that says that Jesus submits to God, the man submits to Jesus, the woman submits to the man, and children
Mhm.
follow. But where do I go when there's no man?
Or should I say a man and a woman? Man and woman.
The children follow.
To
But
bring the
who are they
balance.
following? They're going to follow me because that's all they know. So when he's at war, go back to when he was at war, and he called me and said, "Mom, I want my dad." And I said,
Mhm.
"Son," and I go back to the whole thing. I apologize and do all that I do and everything. And then he said to me, "Mom," then I said to him, "Son, why is it you? What is it you needed? Why you want your father?" He said, "Mom, because they're in a circle out there in Afghanistan, okay,
Mhm.
no, in Iraq. He's out there talking, and everybody is saying something about their dad." I said, "Son, make up a story." I said, "Make up a story." I said, "I promise you that half of who is out there talking
They're
never
making up a
said that in
story.
all their life, but they make up a story." I taught and I hear children make up a story. There was one kid, Sharon, that told me that, oh, his father would pick him up and he and his father go there and he and his father go there and his father would put him in the truck and he and his father would go excursion. And I mean, when I see the life, I'm like, oh my God, but I'm having trouble with this kid. And I'm like, where's your father? Because I'd love to talk to him to see if I can help you to get it together. And
Right.
then I said, "Where's your dad? I would love to talk to him." He said, "Oh, Miss Dixon, my dad died." I said, "Oh my God, no." So I get into a conversation with God and I said, "God, how can you do that? This one kid need his father, and that's the one you decide to take? Like, really, God? I have a problem with you balancing out this father children thing, because this kid need a father." So the mother called me the day and I was telling her, "Oh my God, I giving her my condolence." I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. So, he's a good kid, but I wish his father was alive." And the mother was like, hold on, Miss Dixon. What did you say?" I said, "I wish his father was." "What do you mean he's alive? Is his father dead?" I said, "He told us today that his father died." See, kids make up stuff.
Yeah.
He said his father died. I said, "What?" He said, "Mr. Dixon, what did he tell you?" As he told me that his father used to do this and this and this and all these big nice things, and then turn around and ask him, "So where's your dad now?" He said his father died. I said, "Miss Dixon, that boy's lying. He goes
Wow.
to his father every other week in Brooklyn. The classroom." Listen, the classroom never hear that yet, that his
Wow.
father was that close as in Brooklyn. Okay? So they lie. So I didn't realize that, and I started teaching so much later when I told my son to lie. I said, "Make up a story about this father." How many times, Sharon? I know you don't like it. You grew up in the church, but how many times that you want to try to impress somebody about your own things? You will make up a
Right.
little thing that put a
Yes.
little to make
Yeah,
it
we
look
did.
more fabulous. Not true. So
We did.
so they lie about parents. They lie about father because half of them they are embarrassed that the
Right.
father didn't come home.
Yes, they're trying to find their identity too. Who am
That's
I? Who do I
good.
connect with? They're trying to find their identity. So, Madge, I know you've been through a lot of broken situations, like you said, and all the separations that you've been through. How were you able to repair your heart, to restore yourself into the woman you are today?
It's an it's an ongoing process. I don't know if I'm repaired, and I'm definitely not restored.
Okay.
I am. being processed, because everything you think that you go through seems like it knock you a ninja. You make like 10 steps, like 2 steps, and then you get like 10 steps back.
Mhm.
I do have that. But
Mhm.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was praying this morning, right? And I I was hearing like in my, like my prayer was, what is in my prayer is repair and restore.
Okay.
So the repair part, I'm getting the whole vision in the prayer. And it says the repair part is means that if you have something that's broken and it's hurting, it's your car is broken, right? Your car is broken, the car. Everybody can read your car. And so the car is broken. And you're there, you have to take it to the repair stop. You gotta take it for repair. In order for it to repair, you will have to shut it down. Everything has to
Okay.
come for a
Right.
full stop. So you got to
Right.
turn the car on, and they know they're going to pick that car apart. They got to pick it apart. So it means that you have to be able to give up all that time. You got to find another way out while it's being repaired. You have to make that sacrifice whether you go on the bus or the train instead of driving. You may have to take a dollar cab, and you only have
Mhm.
$2. You don't have $1.50. It's now $3. So you may have to come up with cash that you never thought you had. So many things can throw you in there while you have to leave that car because you cannot get it. And while it's being repaired, because every part of it is pick apart, is being repaired. In order for you to get it, that mechanic will have to restore it.
Okay.
He has to now take it and put all those parts back together
And restore. Mhm.
to, in order to restore. So I get it in my vision, in my dream,
Mhm.
in my prayer, that repair is different from being restored. So it is
Mhm.
being repaired, and as it's repaired, before you get it, it's going to be restored. So me now in my life, that's what I find that I'm doing now. I am submitting. I have to submit and surrender, because I don't need to tell you what the pandemic did to me. I
Mhm.
almost lost my mind. I had to
Mhm.
shoot lock down everything that I ever know. I had to give up every gig, everything.
Wow.
I don't want to be a part of nothing, because I was already damaged before the pandemic. I had to go through the trauma of my son being at war. I'm not healed from that. I remember Sharon going back. I noticed that when I would used to fly with the airlines, and I'll be in the in the airport, and when the soldiers are leaving, they had to go they go into a separate area than the regular passenger. And
Mhm.
as I was walking and pulling my bag, I looked up, and there was a bunch of soldiers there. And when I looked at them with their backpacks
They
on
had the
their
backpack.
backs, everything came back at me, and I was so broken. My
Wow.
shoulders went down, and I felt so sad, because I know that they may not come back home,
Wow.
because I had that fear. Thank
With your
God mine
son.
came back home. I'm still reeling from it. Is it repaired? I never addressed it. So it's
Mhm.
not repaired. It's not, that part of me is not restored. So all these emotions that are all jacked up and torn up and messed up, then it requires me now to, as Jalen Forbes just said, surrender. So I'm
Right.
at that place of surrender. But for me to surrender, remember, I can't get in the crowd to surrender. I had to take myself to the repair shop by
Right.
myself, by my lonely self, and be torn and picked apart by God in order
Okay.
to be restored. I'm getting
Mhm.
deep now. Somebody said I'm going to cry. Where's Nadine?
So,
Nadine MacArthur and Nadine Ford. I'm about to cry. I need some tissues now, because I'm getting excited in the place that I'm at. I remember Jalen Forbes when we talk about whose heart, who got your heart,
right.
who got your heart. All that time I'm saying who got my heart. Everybody has got my heart. My pain, my dilemmas, my issues, my disappointments, my anger, my misgivings, my misunderstanding. All of those stuff got my heart. But
Right.
I had to find this place where I am now. You may not see me, some of you, but I'm at this place where I'm hidden, because I'm in the repair. I need to be repaired in order to be restored.
So you were
I'm
saying
getting
you
excited.
spoke
A lot of
you spoke
stuff.
about the car and the repair shop and the damage. So and your heart that has to be repaired and going to God to get your heart repaired. So It depends on the extent of the damage to your
Very
heart.
damage.
That's how long you have to stay in the presence. You're saying that? Like a car in the repair shop. A car that just had a little scratch would just take maybe 5 minutes, 5 hours. But a car that has really been damaged, it has to stay 5 days, a week, 2 weeks in the repair shop. And sometimes we see people going to the altar and some people stay just 1 minute. Okay, they're not really damaged to that extent. But some, you see them going back to the altar. God fix me. You see some of the altar half an hour. You know, I was on the altar for 1 year straight every night because I had so much for God to fix. Every single night at midnight for one straight year, I was at my church altar for 3, 4 hours a night, just laying there and giving it to God. And sometimes we make people feel guilty when they have to go to the altar. We make people feel guilty like you've sinned. No, sometimes it's the same thing we're going back to God for, even though God has already forgiven us. But sometimes it could be our guilt. Sometimes the pain, sometimes the residue of what we've been through. We have to stay in the presence of God and bring that healing and a deliverance in our soul.
That we have to. That we have to. And whatever it takes, I have to say, the pandemic for me does something. Can I talk about the pandemic a little? Because it has
Just a
to do
little
with
bit.
me growing
Mhm.
kings.
Yeah.
And for me, I found that the guilt that I would have felt otherwise, it was during the pandemic that I realized that I first met God.
Mm.
And so that's the relationship building. So I realized now I can come into focus of the things and way he had kept me while I was growing that king, that
Mm.
he was doing for me all along. Is not when I got saved. So it brings things to the forefront of my mind that I can put it into the right place that it deserves to be. And in so doing, I bring God in the first place. Put
Mhm.
God in the first place. So when I introduce myself as a Christian first. I understand now that I'm a Christian first, then I'm a wife, and then I'm a mother, and then it
Mhm.
goes down the line. So it's something that I had to be taught, and it's something that I had to learn. And so, with all that I went through, even growing up my own son and what we had to do, abusive relationship, Sharon, abusive relationship where my son see me get beaten, get slapped in the face, get smacked all over the place, and crying in the middle of a car. My son see the man box off his favorite oxtail off the stove and the toe in the corner, shiver like this, and he sees this, and it's amazing that he don't beat nobody. It's amazing that he's so self-contained because it's what he sees. Remember, they learn what they see, but
Right.
just some children or some people just have a way of putting it aside and say, you know what? This that I see right here, I don't know what I want. But this that I see
I
my
don't
mother
want.
go through, I ain't putting it through, putting nobody else through it.
Mhm.
And is able to develop and build themselves in God as they go. So I'm being repaired and I'm being restored. I'm waiting for my restoration. So no, I break myself down, just let myself go in front of God, take the mask off, and just being real. Whatever my thoughts is, I share it with Him. Just being honest and open to Him. And when I do this now, I'm looking for my restoration. I'm walking out the history of my healing. Because when my own child separated, it left something. It left a mark
It
on
took
me.
something with you,
It took
with
something
him.
with
Yeah.
me. And I understand what Jesus felt when he said, Father,
Mhm.
why have you forsaken me?
He was
But he
feeling this
didn't.
the
But he
separation.
understood the separation.
Mhm.
But he's God. He restored. But you can see the scar in his hand, and he went to Jesus. And did we go through that? Well, let me tell you, I'm looking for that day. I'm working out. I'm walking out the history of my healing. I'm laying still now to be healed. So I'm in the repair shop.
Great. Wow. You
I
just
see
got to
Jalen
think.
asked for the cash up. Is it my cash up, Jalen, or Sister Nisha cash up, or both?
Okay,
That's
so
what
the
we have to
Cash
do,
App
right?
is
That's the cash up.
$ Sharon. There's SHERIN Innis INNISS.
Oh, he need both. Please, Majesty. Dollar sign Majesty.
And Zelle is 646-500-9091. 646-500-9091. So come on, Jayla, send a donation because we want to help more young men, more fathers, more husbands. This ministry wants to reach out and help. And I can give you so many testimonies of how God came to because I sow, because I give. God has blessed. We're so into this ministry, so into what we are doing so that we can save our men, we can save our boys. They need saving. And if we don't save them, if we don't have a plan for them, when I was raising my boys, I told myself, I said, listen, you have to have a plan for your sons. If you don't have a plan for your sons, the devil surely has a plan for them, and his plan will prevail. You have to have a plan for your son,
You
your
know, Cher,
children. Mhm,
Cher, I'm glad you said that something came back to me. While my son was at war, he was going through a lot of issues back home and everything else. And I remember one day when I had to call, I mean, out of the fear that I had with him, he said to me, mom, um, um, a bombing or whatever happened. They were texting in Afghanistan.
mhm,
And let me tell you something, Sharon, I laid in my house here and I prayed.
mhm,
That's the first time I step up in front of Satan.
mhm.
Girl, I meet I call on the Lord of hosts. I was calling on the sun and the wind. Money coming in, Sharon. Look at your phone. Money coming in, money coming in. The kings are sending money. The kings are sending money. Um, you
Marge,
know,
it is Marge's cash app.
I don't even I see a notification. Money's coming in, Sharon. But I'm just saying that, like the fact that I had to pray like there's no
Right,
tomorrow.
right.
I had to go to God myself because my son is out there
Yeah.
at war. And I have to go to him. And when I'm crying out, I'm calling the Lord of hosts. I'm calling, oh, money, money. I'm calling. I see, girl, I see money. I'm calling the Lord of hosts. I'm saying, God, send the wind, send the
Right.
sun,
Yeah.
blow the
Call them. Fight.
every come get some snakes. I don't like snakes, but I love
Yeah.
snakes now. Snakes can help me to achieve my son's life. So I had to get ask for the sword. I gotta call upon whatever it takes to defend my son's life
Yes. Yes.
out of the fear of Satan getting him before God done with him.
Yeah.
So out of the fear that we have, that we
Yeah.
grow these kings. So
Yeah.
what happened when
We
these
have to
kings go
fight for
out
them.
there? We
We
have to
have to
fight
fight
with
for them.
everything we
And
have for our
spiritual battle,
boys.
emotional battles, sometimes some physical battles. But like you, I have an experience. I remember one of my sons, he was going through a period of depression, you know,
Been
and
there.
I'm not going to go into all of the details, but he was going through, it was bad. The enemy was after him. The enemy was playing with his mind, and somebody called me, give me some information, and I was like, I'm not going to sit on this. This is the wrong mama, you touch devil. And I remember I got up on my son's bed and I
Mm,
walked on that bed. I
mm-hmm.
walked, I trampled, I rebuked that enemy. Then we have a long sword that my husband got from Rod Parsley Ministry. And I
Mm-hmm.
took that sword, Madge, I jumped on that bed and I
Mm-hmm.
minced that devil into pieces. I
You
chop
chop
off
him
his
up.
head. I chop him to pieces. He could never come back together. And I drove that devil out of my house, girl. I said, not in this house. And mothers, we have to fight for our
Have to.
sons. You have to fight for them. Fight on your knees.
On your
Fight, don't
knees.
curse them out
Don't
because
curse
that's
them
what we
out.
do. We get on the phone. I see parents get on the phone and they just talk so badly about their children. They talk badly about the children to their friends, to their
Mm-mm-mm.
sisters, to their brothers. Sometimes my friends will call me. She said, "Oh, my son did this or my daughter did this." I said, "Listen, Don't talk my nieces and nephew name with me. Do
Mm-hmm.
not
Not
talk
talking
their
my
name
names.
with
Mm-hmm.
me because they're gonna hate me and they're gonna hate
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Do not get on the phone and gossip about your children, no matter what they do.
That's
It's not that
good.
my sons didn't do anything wrong. Everybody says, "Oh, you have perfect sons and they're so amazing."
Far from being
It's
perfect.
not that they did not do anything, but I didn't gossip about it with you. You have to protect them.
You have to protect. You have to be careful how you talk to them. Mothers, I'm talking to you all. I see Rachel, I see Condelia, I see Anne Marie, I see Jackie, I see Consuela.
Mhm.
Let me tell you something, and there's so many other mothers there that I'm looking at. And let me tell you, there's sometimes you're gonna get real frustrated with them kids,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's so important your reaction to them. It's
yeah.
better you go on silence than call them
Yes,
out of their names.
yes, yes.
Because if you call them out of their names, you're reverting them back to where you pray them from.
Right.
Because life and death is in the tongue, the power of the tongue, and you got
Mhm.
to do what you do. I remember I never called my son a dog and call him out of his name and stuff like them stuff. I never do that. And I remember when I see Kalina Riley, welcome. I
It's
remember seeing,
Millie. Mhm. Go
I
ahead.
remember seeing my son, I would say to me, Mom, he did something at school, right? And I thought he would have been do something in his class, and he didn't do what he had to do, his project or whatever. And so his grades was down. And I never said, you're worthless, you're dunce, you're not
Mhm,
gonna make it, you'll waste my money, all that. Mm-mm. I said to him, you know what? I believe that you're a winner, but you're
mhm.
acting like you don't want to be a winner. But I
Right,
know what I know.
right.
Without saying that, one
Mhm.
word left for him is that, oh, I must be losing then. I didn't say it, but he gets what I'm saying. If you get what I'm saying. But this is what I did. I said to him, okay, I know you're a winner. So this is what I'm saying. If you're not acting like, then you tell me, you write the word loser on this. And my son response was,
Mhm.
I was living in
I'm
Queens.
not a loser.
And my son said, Mom, I'm not writing it because I'm not a loser. I'm not writing it because I'm not a loser. I'm not a loser.
Yes,
He
yes.
knows
You got to
who he
empower
is.
them. Hmm.
I've told him over the years, I tell him who he is. I said, let
Yes,
nobody validate you.
yes.
Let nobody determine that you're not a good dad, because you got to know who you are. And
Mhm.
when you tell him that, girl, son, you have options, and make
Yes.
sure I'm giving you the responsibility to make the right decisions. Every situation comes upon you, put all them options on the table and choose the one that gives you the best leverage,
Hmm. Hmm.
even
That's
if it
good.
hurts. Walk
That's good.
away, go into a cave, but don't hit back.
Yeah,
Because if you hit back, it's going
yeah,
to take you somewhere else.
yeah.
So take the one, the option that gives you the best leverage.
Mhm. Walk away.
Defend your life. Don't let no one determine who you are. I told you who you are.
Yes.
Stand that way. Don't make nobody change that. I give you example, a stark example of my own life. I started working, right? And I walked into a position. My time is up. And I said, they give me like a case aid, right? And then when I walked in, they said to me this Friday, they said to me, Matt, when you walked in, we have to change a position to
Right,
program assistant.
right.
You have to walk knowing who you are. Mothers, know that you have done your best and your best is good enough.
Yeah, get dressed for where you're going. Walk
Hey,
for
that's
where
where
you
you're
are
going.
going.
You are
Another
mother
thing I need
tuned.
to say to parents, mothers, because we are dealing with single mothers raising sons. Apologize to your child. When
Please
you're
do.
wrong, say you're sorry. You know, sometimes my sons and I we butt head, and especially I'm gonna call his name Emmanuel. I would say shut up, and he hates that. He hates when I say shut up. But sometimes it just come out and he's upset about it. But I would go back and say, I'm sorry. I was upset. I am sorry. Go back to that child and say you're sorry. try to heal that wound that is in their soul. So Madge, we're getting ready for this conference on the 23rd. The in-person conference is on the 23rd. It's both in person and virtual. And please register. But Madge, you are going to be vending. I have vendors. So Madge, you're going to be one of the vendors. So tell us what you'll be selling.
Oh, I do. I'm the CEO of a great company, growing company. She's 3 years old. That Cake Console, and many of you I know who Cake Console is. I make this succulent. You got to
Yes, I
say
know
the
it
word
is. My son
succulent. Let me
love
give
it.
you a chance. Succulent. Okay, succulent. Jamaican black cake, fruit
Yes.
cakes. And I also have the ginger beer,
Right.
Sister Consuela. You know that ginger beer is good. Talk about it. The ginger beer, right? And all the ginger products. I have ginger passion, ginger pineapple. Talk about it, Anne Marie. You know you love your sorrel. The sorrel, and I do also have the ginger pineapple, which is
I
really
love
really
the
good.
ginger pineapple
So
and I
yes,
love the cake. My son loves the cake.
I'm the
It's
CEO of Cake Console and
right.
Majesty Experience.
I know time is against us, but I don't want to close this broadcast without praying. I want
Yes.
to pray. Rachel, thank you for joining. I'm seeing you, Rachel McBride. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. So let's pray. Father, we want
Yes,
to
Lord.
bless your name. We want to thank you because you're our God. We want to thank you that we can come boldly before your throne of grace, that you have given us this opportunity, that we can come and say, Abba, Father.
Mm.
And oh God, you said if we call on you in the time of trouble, you will
Yes,
hear
Lord.
and you will answer.
Yes,
So,
God.
Father, there's a mother out there, there's a
Mm.
son out there, there's even a
Yes, Lord.
father out there that needs
Yes,
your help,
God.
that is in trouble, and we are calling on you on their behalf. I ask that
Mm.
you reach down your great hands. I ask that you reach down your hands of mercy. I ask that
Yes,
you reach
God.
down your hand of love and compassion and deliverance. Oh God, and touch
Mm.
them in that place where it hurts. Touch
Yes,
them in that
God.
place, oh
Mm.
God, where no other hands can go and touch. And bring
Yes, God.
healing. Bring healing to their minds. Bring healing to
Mm.
their soul. Bring healing
Yes,
to their
God.
spirit. Bring
Yes,
healing to
God.
the relationship. And bring
Mm.
healing to their finance.
Yes,
In
God.
Jesus'
In
name we pray.
Jesus'
Add
name,
life,
amen.
add
Mm.
strength, add
Yes, God.
wisdom. Oh
Yes,
God,
God.
we ask
Yes,
you
God.
in Jesus'
Yes, God.
precious name.
Mm.
Amen.
And I stand
Thank
in
you very
agreement with
much,
you, God,
Madge,
in
for
Jesus'
having
name.
me for coming on the broadcast. And next week,
So
Facebook
excited.
friends and YouTube, Madge's son is going to, so we can hear the
Can't
other
miss it.
side of the story. We can
No,
hear the
you're
other
really gonna
side.
know the truth.
Yes, so Madge's son is going to be on next week, Saturday at 3 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you. God bless you.